What is going on? We are back for another episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 88 with Killian McMurphy. Super excited for this one. The shooter has made it to the podcast. Rounding out the goons here this year, we'll have another goon making an appearance. Can't say who just yet, but someone else is coming. To get all the goons, I'd have to dedicate like an entire year because there's goons and then goons adjacent. I'm sure we'll get into all of that as well. So make sure you check out the links below to follow all things ABJ, grab some merchandise, as well as everything for my guests, their new YouTube channel, their merchandise pages, everything like that will be linked below that you can go and support them and follow them on all social media. But first, let's get into our sponsorship of Suplex Vintage Wrestling. Guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling. They say it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in Queen Village, their shop features the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection includes the classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, then SVW hosts the best watch party since your friend Kyle's party when you were 12 years old. And if shirts and watch parties aren't your thing, let's not forget about their selection of figures, replica belts, or trading cards. From their t-shirts and hats to rare wrestling memorabilia, they have something for every wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at suplex.svw on Instagram or suplexsvw.com and let them satisfy your pro wrestling needs. All right, we'll jump right into this one. So this one's we're gonna fly through the beginning quick because I know Killian very well. And he can't stand talking about the school and where he trained. He's become very let's say bored with those questions, and he's very numb to the business. And he's such a creative mind. He comes and he wrestles and he does a job, and I guarantee you're entertained every single time. But there's more to this guy than just the professional wrestling aspect, and I can't wait for you all to hear it and how just his mind is just funny. Super entertaining person, has been someone who, since I've been in the business in my short time, has always been very welcoming, helped me out with so much stuff. Just not just the wrestling, but just filming and putting together productions, and him and his team are just absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait for you everyone to hear these stories and finally get to really hear like more about Shooter Killian McMurphy. Here he is. What's up, bud? Oh, we're cracking beers. I love that. I should have brought one up. I just brought a Dr. Pepper. I fucked up.
You should have. I sprayed that everywhere, so maybe you shouldn't have, though.
Yeah. What do you got? A little Bud Light going?
Your ad read got me all excited. You did such a good job.
I appreciate that, man. Well, it's true. You at just the goons in general, since early on for me in this content create space, have always been very welcoming, always been very helpful with feedback and just making me feel like I'm part of the team when I'm just the early days before every single podcaster was welcome backstage and doing everything at wrestling shows. I was kind of one of the early ones in the Northeast scene, and you've always just made me feel very welcome. Early days of me heckling you because I was watching your stuff with the Meet the Press and I was chanting that at you at wrestling shows. And just I don't know. I've always been a fan of you and your outside work because there's so much that you have going on where you're just creative and putting other stuff besides professional wrestling out there. And that creativity flows through your promos and just who you are as a person. You're just a very creative mind human. And I love that about you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's funny that you were the one chanting Meet the Press at me, and it's funny to see where, because you mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm starting my own YouTube channel, Killian Tube, and the video on Odd World, Abe's Exodus, comes out early December, and I'm really, really proud of the production on it. Obviously, 45 minutes on that badass, awesome video game from back in the day. One of my favorites. One of my co-star in the video, one of her favorites. I won't say who. I'll keep it a surprise. It's just so funny to look back and think about Meet the Press. Dog shit the production was compared to like what I'm putting out now.
You have to start somewhere though, and that's the thing. You don't get good unless you hit that record button.
Yeah, and I was like working in an office at the time, and I was like sneaking editing Meet the Press and like closing the window when somebody would come close, and I open it up and then I edit it a little more, and then I go back to doing my work. And now my full-time job is video editing, so it's a lot easier to do that, obviously. But it's God, you saying that, because we didn't talk about that at all in the pre-production meeting.
Yeah.
But it feels like Nardwar when Nardwuar will come with like an old mixtape that like, how the fuck did you find this? Like,
it was at old Outbreak Wrestling at this really, really tiny firehouse with the little crow's nest up top that people look through the little peek hole to watch the matches from the top. And you came, and I was still on the other side of the guardrail. I wasn't doing interviews or anything yet. And you came out and hit the court, and you're like heel Killian, telling everyone that you hate them. And you put your hand up and like, meet the press. And you're just like, that's awesome. And you just like I broke you for just a second.
Yeah, I think I was wrestling Ty Awesome that match, maybe.
I probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I'm thinking of.
I just remember going to those shows and just being like, man, like there's some people who perform and they just make it like you could tell you're having fun while you're doing it as well as putting on the performance. And then I got to like become backstage and see more things and just like working with people like you and the rest of the goons and like people like Trajan and AJ Evers of just like, if they're like cameras should be following you all around every time because you're always entertaining. Like it's just always like it's just part of your personality trait. It's just like you cannot have a bad time if you're backstage.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, that's we're filming as PWI actually announced. Very cool to say that. The Being 500 documentary about Dustin's time being 500, number 500 on the PWI, is coming out. And that's coming out at the same time as the 2024 list. Got a little bit, but we're really gearing up as far as advertising and post-production. It has a lot of those backstage moments, and I'm excited for everybody to see those. It's going to be really fun and really, really cool.
Now, let's dive into this list real quick, just because it happened last year when the list came out and Dustin was number 500, and everyone always gets sour grapes and this is bull and I don't like this, but at the end of the day, the PWI has formed itself and like it's an opinion based thing, right? They're fans. They're fans of the business. They make a list. It's their opinion. It's half kayfabe. It's half this. It's half that. But there is truth to the list. Like you have to, just like in any other business, you have to put your name out there. If you send them your information, you're more likely to be seen because if you just think I'm just going to work my ass off and never talk about it or not promote myself on social media or get myself out there and someone's just going to notice me for my work, that doesn't happen in the real world. No matter how good you are, you can still be amazing and not be on the list, but maybe you should work harder to get your name out there more so you can be put on lists like that. But I think Dust being put into this, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him about this because it was recorded beforehand, but like that shows you that professional wrestling, there's so many layers to this, and there's so much that you can do in this business besides just going in and being an in-ring performer. So for a guy who does matches, but also is a buddy, he likes the term buddy, not a manager, but being someone ringside that, and also you guys put the work in of your storylines and your promos and everything like that, that deserves a spot in a list just as anything else does on this, on in this world of professional wrestling.
Yeah. I, going into this year, I did not expect to be 270. I expected to fall a lot farther than I did, honestly. Last year I was 254. I won the Cassandro Cup. The year before that, I was 235. I'd won the Super 8. So I was going like into the end of those judgment periods with these like big trophies. So I had something, and I like didn't have that this year. I didn't have the big win. But when the list came out and it ended with, and he loves his Chick-fil-A, I realized that the Chick-fil-A angle, the President McMurphy angle, was the equivalent to like a big win, obviously. Like, not obviously, honestly.
Yeah.
It got me number 10 on the top heels in, I think, November's PWI last year. So they definitely took notice of it, and they did like a 2-page spread. Lowe wrote that. Really, really well done. Some cool pictures in it. Goes over like the inauguration where Rob sung Kid Rock and we ate the Chick-fil-A out of the cup and stuff like that. So I think like that you're talking about like promoting and like storyline. I think that was my big win. Of course, like all the crazy heat that it got online, kind of incomparable to anything else like in the area on that level of professional wrestling, as far as like visceral heat, like people really not liking somebody and it truly being work. Because you look at that moment and it's so funny because you would think that people knowing what professional wrestling is, they'd see, oh, they're illegally filming at a Chick-fil-A at 1 a.m. to promote tickets to this queer event. That's pretty like punk and pretty like,
yeah, it's awesome.
kind of anti Chick-fil-A. But they couldn't see past that, and that's like fucking right, like right there. Like I can't even take credit for that promo. I didn't come up with that idea. We had a little think tank going, and I'm not gonna like totally shatter kayfabe, but there was like 4 or 5 of us in a group chat that we would throw out ideas and be like, no, we shouldn't do this. Yes, we shouldn't do this. So, of course, as always in professional wrestling, like I have to credit that moment and that run to like a small group of people. But man, the fact that like they couldn't see through the veil is like, that's so lost nowadays. So I'm very.
And I feel like if they follow you more in your career, they would understand that. And one of the things that like I don't know how to word this without coming like I don't want to come off negative or anything because it's definitely not a negative connotation at all. But like you are part of the community, but it's not the forefront of who you are as a person either. It's not like I don't want to say you don't take pride or anything like that in it, but it's like if you never knew that, you would never know because it's not something you put out there very often either.
Yeah, I think that was very much like a tool that I leaned into during the angle. And when I would come out to Let the Smokers Shine the Coops by Pusha T, and I'd come out with the the queer flag, but it's got the American star, so it looks like the stars and stripes, but it's got the rainbow on it, which is just a absolutely ridiculous concept that flag exists. But like those things together in particular, I think are kind of that twisted reflection of how people use queerness a lot of in professional wrestling, if that makes sense.
I think the only other time, and I can honestly look back on it, where you even said it on camera or anything was Love Frog, right? When you were supposed to win a date and you're like, I'm gay. I don't want that. I think that's the only time I verbally ever heard you say anything about it.
I said I was gonna kiss pancakes at one point too. I looked into the camera and I said I was wanted to kiss pancakes.
Yeah.
Made air, but
like because a lot of times if someone is part of the community, especially in old school wrestling, and it's crazy how much has evolved between women wrestling or people of color or people in the LGBT community, if you were a open character or your character was flamboyant, it was immediately heel, and you play a heel and it has nothing to do with that at all. You're just a heel wrestler.
Yeah, but it was I don't know if cathartic is the right word, or if cool is the right word, or profound, I don't know, artsy, whatever the fuck pretentious shit you want to say. It felt good to use it heel way, but use it in a heel way that's different, and use it in a heel way that said something.
Yeah. And that's what, honestly, since the beginning of watching you, that's what made you stand out as a heel. Like you did things differently than everybody else. The way you interact with the crowd, the way while you're wrestling, you just do like funny but scummy heel things. It's just, I don't know. It really, really stands out for you as a performer. Now the idea of Shooter and the name and the character, where do you pull from in that? Like, is there old people that you watched in the past or from pop culture or movies? Like, where do you get this idea for this character and go from it? Is it just the trope of it's you turned up to 11? Like, where does the idea of the Shooter, Killian McMurphy, come from?
Yeah, it's a little bit of me turned up to 11. It's a little bit of like people I knew in high school, like people who would beat me in like wrestling in high school, like that character kind of turned up to 11. Evil Emilio Estevez from The Breakfast Club is kind of elevator pitch for it.
I never put that together until you just said it, and now it's like stuck there. I love The Breakfast Club. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, but maybe it's evolved maybe closer to like the greaser bad boy in years. But you know, the high school wrestler they can't really fight is like kind of, we talked about like a warped reflection. A lot of professional wrestlers like carry themselves like they're very badass, and they might even be able to like roll a little bit, but we're all professional wrestlers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
they're more theater kids than they are star quarterbacks,
even if they don't realize it, right? So you know, that's kind of what my character is. And Dustin, of course, is your fat friend from high school who's like, bro, I could manage you. And of course, that guy in real life, he's not going to do shit. He's going to be a lazy bump on a log. Dustin, on the other hand, is like getting his ass kicked and doing like all these crazy bumps and all these crazy stunts. So that's how, you know, that's kind of like taking, excuse me.
You're good. Ear burps.
Taking what we see and like twisting it on its head and making fun of it is basically what we do. Where the name itself came from, rest in peace, Kevin Brittingham passed away a couple years ago, helped book 302 Wrestling and helped me with my tryout and kind of like said that's what they should name me. Once I had like a honestly, I don't even think I had the Killian McMurphy name yet. I think the Shamrock Shooter part came first. And then we bounced around a couple ideas here and there. Kind of started as like a Conor McGregor thing because he was hot at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you kind of find your footing and you find out who you are, and you know, you go to 100 different places to train here and there, different stuff from different people, whether that be character in the ring. And you kind of come to who you are. And I mean, my story's like everybody else's in that way, right? Like I took little pieces of everything. And as far as like in ring, I'm just everybody I saw amalgamated and hopefully turned up a little different. You know, you said I'm doing a good job, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I honestly like your style of wrestling. I can't be like, oh well, he pulls that from there. Like it's just, I don't know. It's a Killian match. I don't know how else to like describe it. Just like it's good. Like you can go out, like obviously you watch the Super 8 and you can go out and have a serious match and you can go out and work a 60-minute barn burner and do all that stuff. But also you can do, you know, you can have a 8-minute match and still steal the show. And 90% of it was Gaga just being funny moments. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when people leave the show, they're going to leave knowing they're going to remember you and Dust more than anything else that show, but just because you have that ability to captivate them and make them remember the moments. Because it's not like one of the things that you are very big on, and Dust and a lot of like that mindset of your crew is it's not about, you know, doing the 450s and all that crazy stuff is fine. And there's a place for that in wrestling, but nobody remembers the moves. They remember the moments. You know what I mean? Like the one body slam from Hogan is still talked about, but everything else in that match, nobody picks apart. You know, Shawn had an amazing career, but he's always known for throwing Marty through a barbershop window. And that's a skit, you know what I mean? And that's kind of where you and, like I said, like the Trajans and the Tommy Vexes and all those of the world, where you're all amazing performers and can wrestle in between the ropes better than anybody else in the world. But you also have that mindset of the creativity of being more than just that and pulling out the characters and the stories and just getting the crowd's attention immediately.
Well, don't keep saying all this stuff about me being able to go an hour and work rate.
Yeah, no one booked that. No.
Yeah, promoters keep booking me in these Rumble matches, and they take me and they put me in first, and then I'm in the last 2 or I'm in the last 3, or God forbid I win and I have to stay in there for an hour and a half. So I don't know when this rep got out that I'm that guy, but I don't need you to continue to portray it.
I'm just saying it could be done. You know what I mean? Like, you're not being an edgy promoter saying, I want to make Killian work crazy tonight because I don't know if he can do it. He can do it. But you're going to get more to Killian if you just kind of maybe let the leash off a little bit and let him do what he does. I promise you're going to get more out of that story, and he's going to make your promotion better if you give him more creative freedom.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm also grateful for those moments, of course, like Cassandra Cup coming in first and being able to work with everybody was really cool. But yeah, it's exhausting for sure.
Yeah. I still think I seen some photos over the weekend. He put some tights back on after saying he was going to walk away from the business. Avery Good looks like he's putting boots on again, or maybe coming close to putting boots on. I feel like that match needs to happen again.
Yeah, hopefully so. I had kind of come to terms with the IWTV title match where Dust was going to hit Yuta. And then, Avery comes in and gives Dust the big DDT on the belt and takes him out of the match. I always, well, not always, but once Avery retired, I had kind of come to terms with having that be the bow on our story. But it is, part of me does want that singles match. So if he is back, even though I saw he said he was done again.
Yeah.
But if he's back, I would absolutely love to have that match.
Yeah, it's pro wrestling. No one ever fully leaves, right?
Exactly.
Well, there's another guy that's coming back on the scene that I think was very, very high in the talks of the IWTV title, Matt Mikowski, who I think you would have some fun interactions with, just because you're so you're the shooter and he's legit. He's probably the closest thing in this business to a shooter as well, but he's serious. But he showed through High Tension that he can do production and he's creative as well. I think you guys would be a good match to work an angle.
Yeah, he's got a lot of personality. For sure. His vignettes of him coming back are some of the most entertaining things from like a cinematic skit vignette standpoint that I've seen in a long time. He killed those. He did really, really well with those. And we worked at Pizza Party during the lockdown.
Oh wow, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, we had a singles match and it was really, really, really good. I like that. Before he got hurt, obviously, but now that he's back again, somebody I'd love to compete with, especially in front of fans, because that was a closed taping.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, that High Tension seems like a match made in heaven for it, because I think one of the things that made you both really stand out, just besides you're not just the wrestling aspect, but the creative mind thing, is he had Frog Sport, which was one of my favorite productions and my first production to be a part of, and then Killian Vision, which was another. I thought they were both masterpieces, and the way they were edited and put together, and a lot of that was Mikowski behind the scenes, like giving him the creative freedom to put a lot of that together. And then with Killian Vision, I think it only makes sense to try to maybe later down the road. That's one thing I do miss about the pandemic. It sucked. A lot of things were terrible with the pandemic, but man, it was such a time to be creative and put together some real fun things.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why my number spiked in PWI like it did.
Yeah.
Cinematics that we're doing. I mean, we competed against Eel, Phil, friend of the show, Phil Stamper. Mm-hmm. Some of the actor friends we have, Nate Colt, Kyle Walls, Nelson, of course, got his shot at the title on a podcast. Like, we did a bunch of really, really weird shit, and it got mentioned in PWI. They said they were waiting for 1CW title defense, which that's what we were doing. We were defending the 1CW Bulletproof title in those crazy cinematic matches.
And you guys really hit the ground running when the pandemic and everything started opening back up and promotions were going. You and I say you guys, I always say the goons, right? Like, it's a team effort for the most part. But you had storylines that cross state lines on the independent scene, which didn't happen. Like, it's not a thing that goes on very often, because a lot of promotions, they get that, well, that's not my creative vision, I don't care, you leave that shit there and you bring something different here. But people were smart enough, I'll say, those promotions and businesses were smart to be like, no, I like what's happening there. If we can get it here too, we would love to have it. The Dust wedding, the Erica Lee rivalry, the Darius Carter that was going all over the place. They were 3 moments coming out of the pandemic that were just good storylines, and the matches all led up to it, and they hit home as well.
Thank you. I mean, that was also like not just promoters saying we want that. There's a lot of us saying, hey, let's make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still doing that with the 500 thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is we're hitting up promoters. We're saying we have this idea. What do you think of it? And in some cases, it takes even a lot more than that. Like with the Shockwave match, like I was involved with like reaching out to Shockwave and making it happen, like a bunch of aspects of it. And you guys will all see that in the documentary, the Being 500 documentary. It is tough, but it's definitely rewarding, and it's cool to look back. And the me versus Erica thing particularly stands out, like from the GCW Fight Forever show to 1CW shows, and then the main event of Magic. And I'm sure there's places I'm not even thinking of off the top of my head, but the month of cinematic matches that we had, or I guess cinematic shorts.
She competed as a female in the men's Super 8.
Yeah.
That storyline helped with that too.
Yeah, when she ended up taking me out of the women's Super 8. So
yeah,
still going. I still have a problem with her.
Yeah. She is hands down. When you think about talent and just like she's so good. Like I told her on the podcast too. She reminds me a lot of like what we get from Willow, where Willow is this bubbly, funny, creative mind, but they also can kick the shit at you. Like they are hard hitting. They will kill you. Like they can work strong style on the flip of a hat switch. And I like when they do that as a character in wrestling, where it's like fun, and then it's just like no, it's on now. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's Erica is working strong style. I think she's just mean.
Yeah, but she can be funny, and she can cut a promo where she's on Hong Kong poo poo pee pee. But when you get in the ring, she's gonna put your face on the other side of your head.
Yeah, she hits me hard in particular, and it hurts every single time when people laugh, cheer. And when I hear that goddamn Crazy Taxi song, I freak the fuck out in my head every time. And you see me. I mean, it's happened in like 2 different Rumbles and like like multiple segments. I freeze and I look at the camera, and it's all legitimate. I'm like, God damn, I have to deal with this bullshit. And she comes down there swinging every goddamn time. And I don't know if it's like, because the first time we worked, I plucked her with the clothesline in the finish. And ever since then, she's just not giving a shit about my health at all. And I try to protect myself, but I was like, ha, ha, ha. But I don't know if it's because I nail people with the clothesline. They don't give a shit about me. But no, it's nothing strong style. She's just fucking mean.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's the thing too, is like, everyone loves strong style, right? And everyone's like, they talk about how they love watching New Japan. They love when 2 guys go out and just beat the dog shit out of each other. But the second it's done in women's wrestling, it's like, they're unsafe, they work stiff, like they're bad for the bit. It's like, what are we talking about? Like, it should just be accepted just as much as the other ones. Like, I don't know. I'm a fan of it. I think she's someone, if the right people see her, I think the sky's the limit for her. There's no reason why she shouldn't be on TV weekly. Who, like, talking about some of those rivalries and some of the people you work, if you can look back on just and take a snapshot of where you're at right now, who are some of your favorite rivals that you worked with, or some people that you got to like exchange with or put those storylines together, or someone that you think is when you're long said and done, like, you're never going to shake this person as a rival?
Erica. I mean, you got to mention Erica first and foremost. Yeah. We kind of covered that one. That was probably crazy in your headphones. I'm sorry.
No, it was fine. That was fine.
Good.
I did a beer podcast for 4 years. I don't mind the sound of a cracking can.
Good. Edith, I think, is definitely something. You mentioned her a little bit in passing with the Chick-fil-A gay president angle. I think she is definitely like somebody who, not just production wise, but I've had great matches with, going all the way back to the semifinals of the first Cassandra Cup. Those two, I've been wrestling Primal Fear a lot, all over the place with the Goons. I don't know if they've quite hit that Edith and Erica level, of competitive yet, but at the beginning of season 2 of Fight Pro on IWTV, Miles and I take on Primal Fear.
I love
And
that.
yeah, we just keep going at it over and over again. So they might sneak in there to that Edith Erica level of people that really, really goddamn annoy me.
Yeah, and they're doing a great thing too that I think more independent wrestlers should do is just getting their name out there because you're already there and you're making the drive. And if you have people with you all the time, I love their vlogs. I love how they vlog and just have fun with it. And they do like the food reviews while they're out. Like it's smart. And I think more people should start doing stuff like that. Like if you're on the road, everyone talks about their like, oh man, I miss when we were on the road doing this and doing that. But like, film it. You know what I mean? Like if it's entertaining you, it's probably going to entertain other people and it's only going to make your career more valuable and more people are going to want to book you or bring you around and they're gonna be like, how do I get on the vlog? Like, I don't know. I think they're a very good team. They're another one I really enjoy watching.
Yeah. We faced them in the semifinals of the Tag Super 8 2023. So yeah, they're really good. They also hit very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard. Slam you very, very hard. But hopefully we slam them.
When did you make that turn from in your career where it's like I'm gonna stop doing what everybody else is doing from the standpoint of just trying to like do that style of match and that almost cookie cutter, go out, wrestle your match, do that? When did you say like, all right, like I don't want to say when you became jaded, right? But when you kind of became like, I want to bring more career. Like when did that switch hit? When was that moment in your career when that all kind of came together? You're like, I'm just gonna if I'm gonna do this and not be like not miserable, but I'm bored with it because like that's essentially what it comes down to. Like I don't want to say the business bores you, but like behind the scenes, like you don't watch weekly wrestling, you really don't follow a lot what's going on. Wrestling is something you're very talented at, but you have to find a different way to make it entertaining to you, and that's where your creativity comes in. When did that change happen?
Well, from approaching it from a different aspect creatively, that was something I always had in my head. Whether or not I executed it and whether or not like I figured it out, I think that's something I needed Dustin for. But at the very beginning of my career, my original trainer, Dirty Sonny Deeds, worked Shane Douglas in a series of 3 matches in Delaware in 3 different promotions, which is kind of cool. That third match, I just started training and I was like doing security or selling tickets or some bullshit. And I went up to Shane before or after the match at the end of the night and I was like, hey, I'm a young guy just starting out. Do you have any advice? And he was like, don't do what everyone else is, or no. He said, don't pay attention to what everyone else is doing. Now, I took that as literally blinders up. Don't pay attention to what anyone else is doing. I took it as literally as I fucking could. It's so stupid because what he was saying is like, oh, don't get caught up on other people's accolades and like how they're doing. Like, don't compare yourself. Like, don't covet thy neighbor's wife. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I took it just literally. And I was like, all right, I'll just stop watching everything. Yes, sir. Yeah, you're right, Mr. G. Willikers. But I think it works out pretty well for me.
Yeah, totally does. And I think that the hardest thing is just trying to find or get to that point where promoters trust you enough to give you that creative freedom, because once again, like a lot of these promoters, they put a lot of time, effort, and their own money into running a wrestling company, and then some guy comes in or some talent comes in and they're like, I have an idea, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
So like, how do you build that respect or that ability to like, because someone has to give you the shot to do something creative, and then other people see it and be like, I trust his process, because that's essentially what it comes down to. You have to earn that respect from that one person to get that opportunity to do it.
I mean, yeah, it's all about just like building blocks, right? Like you just ask until you get the first step, and then you get the next step, and people see that, and you get the next step. Like, I remember like when we had the Christmas special that MCW aired, we had a version of the Christmas special made without the MCW logo in the beginning credits, ready to go, just in case, like, it was like day of getting approval from Dan. I'm in the studio, we're recording my episode of the podcast, and I'm like, hey, what do you guys think about, like, I had talked to the production guy already, and I just casually like, hey, what do you guys think about airing this at the end? Like, we haven't debuted it yet, could be pretty cool. And, you know, Dan looks over at the production guy, is like, yeah, I mean, like, you've watched it, you like it. And I'm cool with the production guy. He's a production guy, so he knows my shit's good. So he's like, yeah, it's great, it's awesome. And, you know, we're off to the races. MCW aired a cinematic. And then at that point, I'm like, all right, I got nothing else. Like, I can go home.
Yeah. Well, the cinematics, obviously, you're just getting better and better and better at it. Going from the Meet the Press to Killian Vision, where you're fucking using drones and using 4K footage, and that barn scene, like, beautiful. If you have not seen Killian Vision, head over to High Tension Wrestling Channel. It's in their playlist of all their shows. Killian Vision. Watch it from beginning to end. Each match it starts with a skit. And a remote control that can travel through time, and it goes through all these different movie parodies to time frames to all these crazy things, and leads up to this giant big cinematic ending. Watch it, it's beautiful. But there's another cinematic that you guys did that I don't think it's talked about enough, but the you, Sonny, and Dust, like, zombie movie.
Oh yeah, February.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Like, yo, like, we're watching, you're like, yo, are they gonna literally make me cry right
now? Yeah, thank you so much. I've gotten a few people, my peers or fans. I've gotten a few people, like peers or fans, that have come up to me. It's like, wow, I watched that and I got so emotional.
And in a typical Goon fashion, it ends with like, gotcha.
Yeah. We like to refer to it as a not a rom-com, a rom-dram zom.
I love that.
That's the genre of film that is, and I'm really proud of the swerve in that, and it's gotten long-term a lot of views on YouTube, and I look at it as a very good bow on the end of that era of the cinematics.
Yeah, that was real. So now that we got the wrestling side out, I appreciate you. Thank you for that. You like, let's talk more about the filming and the production and things you have going on. I know another thing you have in the works where you and Duster are actually doing like theater stuff. Like, you guys are doing like improv classes and productions and stuff in that aspect as well, correct?
Yeah, let me hold up. My phone's dying. Let me plug you in here.
No problem.
Bam. I don't even have my charger.
Oh no.
I don't even know where my charger is. All right. Well, if it dies, it dies. I'll figure out another way to hit you up. Don't worry. We'll finish this.
It'll be like a part 2. I'll just cut it like a cinematic. What a better way to end the podcast.
We'll have. What I'll do is I'll queue up something. I'll be like, and now let's go to that clip that we talked about.
Yeah.
And you can just play that.
I'll have that.
But yeah. So what it is an exercise. Like, you can write a 10-minute script and submit that script. And when your script gets selected randomly, you then draw your actors out of a hat. Then you have 2 minutes to explain to your actors what's going on. And then they have to act it out, like, while they read the script. So they're reading it and acting it, like, all at the same time. So I like to say it's improv without all the annoying parts of improv, aka the improv. So it's a way that you can, like, get up and show your stuff, whether you're a writer or an actor or both, or you can just, like, come and drink and have a good time. It's that's why I was saying before we hopped on the air, you should come out and, like, put your name into act.
I'm a terrible actor, but I'll try it.
It's perfect. It's like literally every level of actor is there. There's like people that stand like this and they don't project at all. And then you have Dustin, who's like, like, you have every level of theater there. It's a really good.
I love doing wrestling promos. Like, if I get asked to be in one, I love being a part of them. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's fun.
Yeah. very similar to that. Like it's called Pop. It happens at the Kent County Theater Guild in Dover, Delaware. If you're close to that, even within an hour, like I definitely recommend coming out. 6:30s Fridays, one Friday every month. It's usually the second Friday. When is this airing? I think November 17th is the next one, maybe, when this comes out. Probably wrong about that, but look out for that on Facebook or the Kent County Theater Guild website or the Instagram or the x.com page. There's a lot of ways to keep track of them, but yeah, it's a good time. It's some of the most fun I've ever had performing, and it makes me mad that I just got into theater.
Yeah, it's like a natural fit for you. I feel like it's only going to make you better in other aspects, like the writing and everything like that. Like I think like everyone can go to the gym and be amazing in that aspect, but like I think for you, it's like the gym. You got the gym part down, but like
yeah, I don't even need to go anymore.
Yeah, you won. You know what I mean? But now it comes down to like I think this is going to take you to another level, and whether that day comes where the boots are no longer a thing either, there's so much you can give to the business when it comes to like helping with storylines or helping a talent. Like, hey, this is what you should probably do if you see that, like, or if you see two talent that you think, I think you guys would be a good match together. Why don't you guys do a storyline and like enter the business in that aspect, which I think would be amazing because I don't know, I think that'd be fun for you to like find two guys and put a storyline together. I think that'd be a fun project. And you kind of do that too because you find talented people and you're like, you should come and join our little squad because I see something in you. You know what I mean?
That's more so just our friends. Like everybody who's ever is just like somebody we're already close to. Like Nelly. Like to a lot of people, Nelly has just joined the Goons, but in reality, if you go back and you watch promos on my YouTube page, he's the very first person to like when we were the boys.
Yeah.
Or we were even the boys. He was like, Killian, I want to be your tag partner. And then from there, we added AK and they're Bad Banks, who eventually, like, during the pandemic, dropped out of the group. Which that was, like, such a good storyline that ended up being lost footage. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, but lost footage in wrestling, the most surprising thing ever, right?
Yeah.
It's so sad. And I know we're completely off track now.
No, there's no track. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, I'm just fucking ode to die out with a mid point. It's so sad that pro wrestling, other than maybe commercials, might be like the industry where there is just the most lost media, just a unfathomable amount of lost media, and it's happening all the time still. Like a lot of industries, we're in the age of the internet. It's so easy to preserve things, but somehow, some way, we are still losing independent wrestling footage all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, especially when people. One of the things that like drives me so crazy is when like, and I understand why it happens, but it's like you go to a promotion and you work so hard to like put together a storyline for 3 years, and then the owner of the company goes and does something scummy, and then you lose all your footage because they don't want to be attached to that person. It's like, man, like it's almost like the Penn State case, right? Like everyone loses their records of how many yards and stuff they did because the coach was a scumbag. It's like the running back had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that happened for a while there. A lot of promotions where just all the footage was just scrapped because there was scummy people, but it's like the people who put the work into those productions are so important, and it's like their growth and their evolution. Like I couldn't imagine being in the industry and putting together all these matches and storylines, and then 5 years of your work at a company just gets deleted. Like that's gotta be heartbreaking.
Yeah, honestly. And I'm always afraid that I'm gonna No, SteamYard just gave me a weird prompt to increase the storage on my phone.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, why would I do that?
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm always afraid, because it happens, that I'm gonna rub a promoter the wrong way, and then they'll just like delete my shit. So I
screen record everything.
That's what I do. I have you know, a million programs to do it, but I just download shit off YouTube or whatever.
Yeah. So what are some things going on from now to the end of the year, or things in the future that you have cooking up with? I don't want you to give everything away. I know you're very proud and passionate about revealing things at their due time, but what are some things they can expect for Killian in the future?
Well, like I said, at the beginning of December 6th specifically, Killian Tube, the new YouTube channel, is dropping, and I have a 45-minute video on Oddworld Abe's Exodus, one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games. Great voice acting, awesome cutscenes, beautifully like animated, and the way like the 3D models lay on the 2D backgrounds. I'm just obsessed with that game. So
they weren't making a new one for a while there, like they were talking about it.
They did. They dropped. They rebooted the series pretty much.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I actually never played an Oddworld game, but I know of Oddworld because it just looks so vastly different from every other game out there.
It's really cool, and it was amazing how, like, in the era of, I mean, I'm a huge Twisted Metal fan, but in the era of like the Twisted Metals, and again, huge fan, but in the era of like Crash Bandicoots, when everybody was doing these like clunky poly models, which I love that, it's beautiful, but everybody was doing that Lorne Lanning and his team completely went in a different direction and did these beautiful 2D landscapes, but through the team's talent at making these landscapes, was able to put that 3D perception in these levels and this gameplay. It's just incredible. And if you like the PlayStation 1, if you like Oddworld, or if you just like video games, like, go listen to me rant and rave about that. Killian Tube. If you look up Killian Tube, you'll see my little meerkat.
I love how that's airing the day after my birthday. I'm pretty excited for that.
It's airing on my birthday. Wow.
December 6th?
Yeah, we have very similar birthdays. That's funny.
I'm the 5th, yeah.
Wow.
Sagittarius. I don't know what that means. Every witchy girl out in the world tells me about my horoscopes and stuff. I don't know what any of it means, though.
It means we're adventurers, I believe. I think
is that what it is? We're creative people.
Think so. Yeah.
Every time someone says like, "Oh, your horoscope," I'm like, let me guess. It means I'm awesome. That's what I just tell them.
It means I'm badass.
Yeah, because every horoscope just tells you all the positive things. You know what I mean? It never tells you you're a giant piece of shit.
Yeah, there's probably money in that, though. Like, if you make an app that's like shitty horoscope, like, you know, that restaurant that like insults you when you order
like
your food?
Dick's service or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like the horoscope version of that.
You're just horrible. You should figure out your life. You're terrible. You're a Sagittarius.
Yeah, exactly. Delete this app. Don't have another day.
Yeah, never look at the stars. You're banned.
Look down all the time.
So with the channel, is it going to be a lot of like video game style stuff, or you're going to dive into movies? Like, is it going to be all things pop culture?
Yeah, all things pop culture. You'll see on the schedule what I have laid out after that is the top 10 Muppet lore inconsistencies.
Oh my god!
So if you like the Muppets, definitely subscribe. There'll be a lot of Muppet stuff.
Who's your favorite Muppet?
I like Miss Piggy a lot.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of comparisons on the way we work professionally and the way we look is apparently that's what the crowds tell me.
Yeah, I think that Erica Lee started that nasty, vicious smear campaign.
Very, very rude thing. Very, very rude thing. But I really like Statler and Waldorf, of course. Just me and Ellie at any show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the Muppets. I love the Muppets so much. I love Gonzo.
Getting off topic real quick again, because it just popped in my head. I realized, and I didn't know I had it until actually Dust told me on his episode. I have one of the first footage like on my channel on the old Tornado tag of you and Dustin together on camera at PPW when I interviewed you in the bleachers.
Yeah, that Dustin was mostly just coming with me to shows at that point. It was before
you're just like you're interviewing this guy too, and you just handed Dust a mic, and he was just like, it was like it was like the first promo I ever did. It was, and you recorded it on your footage.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know that. Like,
let's go to that clip right now. We'll play it. We'll play it right.
Play this Dust clip right here.
Play the Dust clip. That's what I should have said. And now I should have gone to get my charger, and
Yeah.
you could have cut it off.
Well, let's wrap it up here, and then I'll play that clip and closing it. Where can people find you on social media and all that fun stuff besides the links below?
Killian Tube on YouTube.com, on X.com, at the Shooter KM, at Killian McMurphy on Instagram. Subscribe to Birds on Film.
Yes.
They are about to drop the 5 Nights at Freddy's episode. Might have already happened by the time this YouTube.
They've went through their whole month of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we did a whole month of Nicolas Cage. That was absolutely exhausting. But we are deep in the 5 Nights at Freddy's. Birds on Gaming should be out by now. That's Bird playing 5 Nights at Freddy's for the very first time, and getting a little mad, getting a little scared, going through the whole range of emotions. And
I need more goons playing video game streams. That needs to be a thing.
Thank you. Her especially. She's a absolute crazy person.
I love how Erica just tears apart some of my favorite things. Like when she was making fun of Evil Dead, I was just like laughing but also hating it. She's like, this whole amazing thing, and he just goes groovy, and I was just like, that's amazing. Dustin's like, that's awesome. Please go check out Birds on Film. It is so wildly entertaining. It's so good.
Yeah, what I love personally, if I can rant and rave it a second more. What I love about Birds on Film is it's a film bro, and just the complete antithesis of a film bro.
Yeah, she overanalyzes it.
She does, and at the same time, she like will just look at something completely on face value and be like, matter of fact opinion about it.
Yeah.
In a way that like my pretentious ass or Kyle's pretentious ass or Eel or Dustin or anybody else who's ever appeared on the channel, we could never see that point of view for a film. So it's like, I love them. Shout out to them. They're over 200 subscribers now. If you're watching this, please subscribe to Birds on Film. Subscribe to Killian Tube subscribe to Killian Tube 2, of course, but like they're doing great work over there. I love Birds on Film.
I remember a High Tension, and we'll wrap it up here, when you guys were talking about watching every Ernest film, and I kind of asked Erica about that. She goes, I'll never do that. I hate that.
I doubt she'll even watch a single Ernest film. For sure. I'll watch an Ernest film.
All of them. Yeah. Ernest goes to jail. I have to go back and watch some of the old ones.
Next year, maybe it'll be a Jim Varney Spotlight September.
I love that. Well, listen,
first.
Killian, thank you so much for this. I absolutely love chatting with you. Once the channel drops, maybe early next year, we'll do this again. We'll have you for a part 2. That's what I'm excited about, is ending this season and then coming back next season, season 2, and bringing back previous guests. And now that the wrestling stuff's out of the way, we could talk about more of the other stuff.
I got a very, very, very big video dropping in April, May of next year. So maybe I can come on and promote that bad boy.
Please do.
That is going to be a feature-length masterpiece. And I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm very proud of it. I
have one sponsored question. Logos by Hunter has been helping me out a lot, making logos and trying to help me get some merch thing out of there and help me through these trying times of my life collapsing. His question is, and he asked everybody the same one, is if you can write a younger letter, a letter to your younger self, what would that letter say?
Don't call her back.
Don't call her back?
Don't call her back. That's it.
That's all right. No, no details. Just leave it
right there. Just don't call her back.
Well, that's how we're ending it. We'll see you guys next time.
But everybody out there, that goes for you too. Don't call her back.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Keep
the best advice you'll ever hear. Make that a t-shirt. Don't call her back. We're out of here. ABJ Podcast, episode 88. Killian McMurphy, the shooter.